Elizabeth Millner, Queen Elizabeth, is with us right now. She is straight from the courtroom. She was in there for the entirety of the day so far. Elizabeth, it is so great to see you. I have to start with this. You can tell me how Sean Combs appears, how he looks, but you got to tell me what the emotion was like in the courtroom in the past hour. We're reading about it. We're hearing what his children, his attorney, Nicole Westmoreland, that they were sobbing, but I don't know if it's really doing it justice for what the feeling is like in that courtroom. Can you break it down for us?
Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. Well, when Sean Combs first came into the courtroom today, you know, we were knowing what the tone would necessarily be. Would he come in? Would he appear confident? Well, when he did come in today, he was kind of in, he was in civilian clothes. Now he wasn't in the MDC jumpsuit or anything like that. He was wearing a tan sweater, white undershirt, dark pants, all of his tattoos covered up. He waved at his family and he did prayers hands to him. And I noted even in my notes, because we're not allowed to have electronic devices when we're in the courtroom, just about how nervous, to me at least, he seemed while walking in. And I can only imagine how he feels being in that predicament. He is facing sentencing. It could go either way. I think a lot of people obviously are anticipating what that sentence will ultimately be, but you could tell like it felt like the weight of the world was on him. And then I think, Jesse, honestly, when, you know, we had an attorney speak before Nicole Westmoreland came on, that was Jason Driscoll, really kind of honing in on kind of some of the legal arguments. But I was very surprised, honestly, to see Nicole Westmoreland get so emotional during this sentencing, you know, and it really kind of began when she started talking about Revolt Television and all of Sean Combs' accomplishments. Something that the defense, I feel like, has been using this as a way to kind of appease to not only the judge, but possibly the public in terms of his redemption when it comes to just wanting people to not think about this case, not think about the trial, not think about these allegations, but more so really just talk about his accomplishment and what he's done for the community, and more specifically what he's done to the Black community. And so Nicole Westmoreland really getting emotional when she was talking about how he spent a lot of time helping his community, how he helped break the chain of systemic racism, how he opened 3 charter schools in poverty-stricken areas, how he employed thousands of people. He gave opportunity to inner-city individuals. His companies were very diverse. He inspired generations to follow. They were talking about vote or die. And then Nicole Westmoreland kind of made it a little more personal, where she was discussing how some of her interests were where she was super passionate about mass incarceration. She went to an event 8 years ago, and who was the speaker there? None other than who would end up being her client years later, and that was Sean Diddy Combs. And she said that he had said something along the lines of, listen, everyone, don't be afraid to dream. Just remember to wake up, put those actions behind your dreams. And she said that pretty much changed her life. She says, Mr. Combs isn't larger than life. He's just a man who made mistakes. And then I think the tears really started to fall when the children came to speak at the podium today. And it wasn't even necessarily a situation where they were rushed over into the front of the courtroom and all had to turn. It was really just kind of a simple, casual measure. They all got up to the podium. They all stood together, and it's 6 of them, minus the 7th child, that being, of course, baby Love, who's only 2 years old. Didn't see her in the courtroom or anything like that, but I did see her mother, Dana Tran, inside there. But all the kids lined up at the podium. It's seated near the jury box, and Quincy Brown speaks first. And I think what's important to note is Quincy Brown, his biological father is actually Albie Shura, who had a relationship with Kim Porter. They were together. But Sean Combs adopted Quincy when he was very young. And then there was kind of some talk before, prior, just about the relationship between Quincy Brown and his biological father. But in terms of what he was speaking about today in sentencing, he said that he's our father. In front of us, we see a changed man week after week. We can see him evolve. Our father will never do anything to jeopardize his freedom. Now, Justin Combs spoke afterwards. Christian Combs spoke after that. But Jessie Combs is really where it started to kind of pick up in terms of the emotions again, where she immediately started crying. And I can only imagine how that feels to speak in front of not only the judge, but in front of your father, in front of a whole bunch of people in the media who want to hear what the kids have to say. Because even though we saw them inside the courtroom, Jesse, even though we've seen them in passing in the cafeteria and other things like that, this is the first time we're really kind of hearing them speak about how their lives have been been impacted by Sean Combs's, the allegations that have been against him and the conduct, all of that stuff. But they said right up the front, they were like, we're not here to make excuses for him. We aren't here to excuse his mistakes. We need him in our lives. Jesse Combs talking about how she lost her mom, that her mom being Kim Porter when she was very young, and that Sean Combs promised to be there to keep them safe. Then Chance Combs spoke afterwards, and she said that we're just daughters who need our father. When we talk, he speaks with a clear mind now. He's more patient. He's thoughtful. He wants to be a better man. He wants to be a better father. He's parented our 2-year-old sister from jail, and I see glimpses of our father during that. She said our sister deserves, and that the sister being 2-year-old Love deserves a father who is present to teach her how to ride a bike, to tuck her in at night before she goes to bed, something that all kids want from their parents, right? Then Delilah Combs afterwards spoke after Chance. She said that we're scared of the thought of not having our mom and our dad in our life. And she says that these are the years that we'll never get back. She says, I know that missing years hurt because we lost our mom and they've already lost so much. So really that was kind of a time where we were really kind of seeing everyone get a little emotional in terms of people on the defendant's side. Sean Combs himself, I think it was a moment where we were kind of seeing him inside the courtroom at the defense table really kind of turn and look at his children. Kind of hard for him to keep a straight face with that. Like, he was so emotional, which I understand. He's a father, and he's a father to many children, and the kids have gone through a lot in their life. And so it was very emotional, Jesse. I can definitely say that. It was a lot of tears inside the gallery, especially on Sean Combs' side, but definitely from Sean Combs himself, too. He was very emotional while his kids were speaking.
There's a lot at stake today. It's not surprising you're seeing this. By the way, before I ask you something else, I just have to let you know the amount of love that you're getting online is quite palpable. Basti failed. Greetings, my queen. We love you in Germany. Christina Lester, super chat comment, who's been great today. Tell Elizabeth her skin is glowing as per usual. Nikki Hayes, how are you, Elizabeth? We heart and appreciate you. Anto Grego, beautiful Jesse and Queen Elizabeth. Love you guys. You make a great team. Maylin Bourbon, oh, how I missed the chat, the lunchtime show, and the Law&Crime team and panel. Law&Crime, thank you for all your hard work. So, and super chat question from Mike. What's the update? Well, I think Elizabeth just laid out the entire update. I will ask you this. There was a question from the lone medic. How long does Elizabeth think Diddy will be sentenced for? Wasn't there a comment today, Elizabeth, from the judge that he does not see any reason to deviate from the guidelines of 5 to 7 years?
Yes, and so there was a lot of math that I was honestly doing, Jesse, because when they're talking about the sentencing guidelines, they're always talking about it in ranges of months. And so because there are 12 months in a year, I'm having to do quick math. So really what the judge is kind of looking at and what the PSR recommendation was 70 to 87 months, which by my calculations, because I don't have a calculator inside that courtroom, about 6 or 7 years. So I could see it possibly being definitely on the higher range than maybe the defense was expecting. I think especially in terms of the judge's tone today when he brought up that Sean Combs had been talking publicly about possibly doing an in-person speaking engagement in Miami. I think actually I take that back. It wasn't the judge who brought that up, but it was more so the government who specifically brought that up, because it seems like from the defense's side that they were expecting possibly for him to be released today pending the outcome of what the sentencing may be. And so in terms of my personal opinions, I don't think the judge is going to be lenient today. And I don't know if necessarily the victim impact statement, seeing the video that played inside the courtroom, hearing from Sean Combs' children, hearing from his defense attorneys will sway him in any type of way. I think he's probably already has his decision already made. But if I were to have my guess, I wouldn't put it past him to have anything below 2 years, and possibly with the possibility of time served, that's only another year in prison. And so we'll see what the outcome will be once that sentence is eventually handed down, which will be later this afternoon for sure, possibly.
Yeah, so we have a question also, and I apologize if you answered it before, but it's this is from Rebecca L. What is Diddy wearing today?
Yes, well, Rebecca, Diddy is wearing, because I always write it down, whatever he is wearing inside, is wearing a tan sweater, a white undershirt, and he's wearing dark pants today, which is different from the last time I actually saw him in the courtroom, and that being the hearing that happened just last week when he actually appeared in the MDC jumpsuit. And so still kind of a similar color, but definitely in civilian clothes as opposed to last week's hearing.
And by the way, this revelation that Mia, who is one of the victims in this case, claimed that Sean Combs sexually assaulted her. She was supposed to provide a statement today. She had provided a letter to the court. The defense objected to her providing a statement in court. She didn't want to speak today. I mean, can you talk to us about that revelation too? That happened at the beginning of the day.
That was a big revelation. I was expecting to hear some in-person victim impact statements, especially from government witnesses. And so it was a big shocker when Christy Slavic said today that Mia no longer wants or wishes to give a victim impact statement. And she, Christy Slavic had said that Mia had submitted a written statement, and that was the same letter from the government sentencing memo. And then it was interesting, Jesse, honestly, to hear the judge kind of get a little kind of testy a little bit with the defense's side, because he pretty much said the tone of the defense's letter in response to Mia giving a victim impact statement was just inappropriate. And the tone of that letter was pretty harsh. It was kind of the same tone and impact that the cross-examination was, where they set out in legal filing, they called her a liar. They said that she was having kind of a fake demeanor while she was on the witness stand. There's all of these things. So honestly, Jesse, it wasn't too much of a surprise that she did end up changing her mind. But I can understand why she might have been apprehensive about coming into court today, especially given the defense's response to her just wanting to give a victim impact statement, something that we see that's pretty routine in these sentencing hearings.
So, Elizabeth, I know you have to jump back into that courtroom. Excellent reporting. You're going to come back later on. We will see when the sentence is handed down. And also, Elizabeth's going to be on with me for a special sidebar later when we break down everything that happened in court today. Elizabeth Millner, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right, so Sierra's going to come back on in a little bit. All my guests, Rich, Justin, Adante, stay with me. We're going to take a quick break on our end. The court is currently in break. When they come back, we'll come back, and we'll continue to provide live coverage of Sean Diddy Combs' sentencing day. Stay with us.
Yes.